Today, we're diving into something pretty profound from the Raft to Freedom program. It's called the Five Gifts, and it's basically an ancient approach to harm reduction. You know, the Raft program has this really beautiful way of putting it, the subtle chains we all carry. And we all know what that means, right? It's that feeling of being stuck, those patterns that just keep tripping us up, whether it's self-sabotage or the ways we try to escape, which, just end up causing more pain. So that's the big question, isn't it? How do we break free? And we're not talking about being perfect here. That's impossible. We're talking about finding a real, practical path away from all that struggle and toward a life that feels freer, a life where we can actually respect ourselves. And this is where the RAFT program gives us this amazing metaphor. Imagine you're building a raft to get from an island of suffering to an island of freedom. That's your vessel. And Raft, the name, it's actually an acronym. Recognize, abandon, freedom, and train. But for today, we're going to focus on the most important part, building the foundation of that raft, making sure it can actually float. I mean, this quote from the program says it all. If the planks you're using to build your raft are weak and rotten, well, your raft is going to leak. It's just not going to be seaworthy. It really doesn't matter what else you do, right? If that foundation isn't solid, you're not going anywhere. All right, so where do these ideas even come from? Well, this isn't some new age trend. We're talking about ancient wisdom that's just as relevant for our modern lives. These are truly timeless ideas. Okay, check this out. We can trace these core ideas way, way back. We're talking over 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. You had the Code of Ur-Nammu, which punished things like homicide and theft. A few hundred years later, the Code of Hammurabi was all about public order. These were external laws, right? Punishments. But then, something really interesting happened about 2,600 years ago. Gotama, who we now know as the Buddha, came along and completely reframed these principles. He turned them into something personal, something empowering, and here it is. This is the radical shift in perspective. He called them the 5 gifts of freedom. Think about that. Not the 5 rules or the 5 commandments, but gifts. This totally changes the game. It shifts the focus from some outside authority telling you what to do to an act of generosity that comes from within you. And these are Gotama's own words from back then. He's basically saying, hey, these aren't just some ideas I cooked up. They're ancient, they're traditional, and the wisest people for ages have looked at them and found no fault. He's telling us this is a tried and true path. So why gifts? What does that even mean? Well, think about it. When you truly commit to living this way, you're giving an incredible gift to everyone around you and to yourself. You're offering the gift of fearlessness and harmlessness. You're essentially saying, you can relax. You are safe with me. That builds trust, and trust is so often the first thing to go when we're caught in our own harmful cycles. And that leads us to another absolutely crucial idea from the RFT program. These are intentions, not commandments. That's a huge difference. We're talking about cultivating a direction, not demanding perfection from ourselves. Let's break that down. Look at the two sides here. On one hand, you have rigid commandments. You break one, what happens? Guilt, shame. You feel like a failure, and that feeling can send you spiraling right back into the old patterns. But on the other side, you have personal intentions. With an intention, if you stumble, and you will, because we're human, it's not a catastrophe. It's an opportunity to be compassionate with yourself, learn something, and just renew that intention. You just get back on the path. Okay, so what are these 5 planks for our raft? What are the intentions we're setting? First, the intention for harmlessness. Second, for trustworthiness. Third, sexual responsibility. Fourth, truthful and kind speech. And fifth, clarity of mind. See how that feels different? It's not thou shalt not. It's I am setting an intention. It's personal. It's active. It's about the direction you want to go. Now, the Raft program really puts a spotlight on that 5th one. Clarity of mind. And for good reason. Why? Because if your mind isn't clear, how can you possibly stick to the other 4? Committing to not using intoxicants that cloud your judgment, that's what gives you the awareness you need to steer your raft. It's the plank that basically holds the whole thing together. So, when you start building your life, your raft, on this kind of foundation, what happens? Well, it's about so much more than just stopping a behavior. You start building with kindness, and you start creating a whole new kind of life. This quote from Dr. Gabor Mate just nails it. It's not just about stopping the things that hurt us. It's about cultivating a life worth living. It's a creative act. What are you building instead? You're building a life with integrity, with self-respect, a life where you can actually connect with people. You can almost think of it like this. It's preventative medicine for your heart. By setting these intentions, you're actively preventing future regret. You're reducing the amount of guilt and shame you're going to create for yourself down the line. It just simplifies your life in the best possible way. It's a profound act of kindness, both for others and for your future self. So let me leave you with a question to chew on, something straight from the Raft program itself. How does it change things for you when you think of these as gifts you're giving instead of rules you have to follow? Does that shift in perspective make it feel less like a heavy burden and more like an act of personal strength? And in the end, that's what this is all about. It's not about being a good person to get a gold star. As Sharon Salzberg puts it so beautifully, we do good because it frees the heart. It literally liberates us from the weight of our own baggage. It opens us up to a real sense of happiness. Look, this isn't just a nice idea or some abstract philosophy. If any of this is speaking to you, there are real practical tools you can use to start building your own raft right now. The entire Raft to Freedom workbook is available for you to download completely free. Just go to raft2freedom.org. It's an amazing resource, and it's offered in that same spirit of generosity we've been exploring. Everything we've talked about today comes from the RFT Freedom Program. It's the work of Dr. Catherine Jacob and Vince Cullen, and they've generously made it available under a Creative Commons license. Thanks so much for tuning in.